Hey guys, as many of you know, my name's Sophia. I'm one of the youth leaders here at St. Charles Borromeo Parish, and I've lived in this area ever since I was born. And I'm actually working and studying as a nurse at the moment. So I've had many different experiences with my faith over the years that I've been here, and I'd just like to start with a quote from Psalms. So when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust and am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? So a bit of background about my life. I've been going to church, to Sunday Mass every week almost. I went to Catholic schools, I went to Mass every week, and I sort of only really went because my parents forced me to, and it was sort of like, come on, we're all going, you're coming too. And especially in high school is when it got quite bad, because I was really starting to get be influenced by society and what my friends would think of the faith, and not about what I really believed. I'd consider other beliefs because they seemed okay, they seemed rational. I thought, what can be wrong with those beliefs? Why do I have to believe these rules or guidelines for my life? So I sort of, when I was in high school, a lot of people used to know me as like the Catholic girl and the good girl, and I didn't like the assumptions that people were making about me. And I started to hear things, they'd call me say that I was weird, and say that, they made their assumptions about me, and I didn't really like it. So, at that point, I started thinking, do I really believe in these things that my parents are telling me? And do I really believe in the Catholic faith? So I never really knew Jesus personally. I didn't even know what that actually meant. So I sort of thought, Jesus is this really smart guy, and he was a really good guy, and he died for us, and that's all he was. And he was above me. He was like this superior to me. And I thought, he was from a country on the other side of the world from a long time ago. And I never knew Jesus spiritually. I never knew him like a friend. So to me, I just didn't feel that spiritual connection to Jesus. So you could say at that point was when I was really struggling to keep the faith. And I'd always use the quote as I was hanging by a thread at that point. So it wasn't until about 4 years ago, when I went to this camp called Y Factor, that I really had my first experience of the Holy Spirit. So I was invited to this camp, and to put it in a sentence, the Holy Spirit came into me, and I just fell in love with Jesus. I didn't know what was possible until I opened my eyes and my heart, and basically Jesus flooded in. So 2 leaders prayed over me, and I asked for the gift of courage so that I could be more confident and not be scared to talk about my faith, like I was saying before. I asked to pray for them to pray over me for the gift of courage. I was so doubtful in that moment though, and scared of actually what they were going to do, because I'd heard crazy stories about the Holy Spirit, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But in that moment, I felt Jesus give me a hug, a literal hug. I had this feeling of complete peace, and it brought up a lot of emotions from the past of experiences of when I didn't have courage. I think I became so vulnerable that I just let Jesus in. And this experience, it actually really changed my life from that point on. I now know Jesus, and I now know how much he loves me. And I think he loves me like a best friend would love me. That's how I imagine it. It's that feeling like you would do or sacrifice anything for them. That feeling when you like someone, you just obsess about them, and you think about them every day, and you go, oh, I wish I could see them, I wish I could meet with them. And that's the feeling of Jesus's love. So as much as I did receive that gift of courage that day, and I experienced God's love, I thought to myself, how am I going to use this gift that I've been given? because I was still scared of what people would think of me, and I was still worried that people would judge me for my beliefs. I thought that. I thought, I've got this gift of courage and I feel really passionate about Jesus, but I'm still scared. It wasn't a complete change. But as soon as I left that camp, the gifts just kept on coming. Like, they just kept on coming. And I got home from that camp, and basically I just wanted to tell anyone and everyone about Jesus. I was so passionate that this is the right way we need to live. And this is how we need to live our life with Jesus in our life. And I thought, this is it. Like, that's it. There's nothing else. And actually, the fact that I'm able to sit here right now and talk to you all is just an evidence of how much that courage has worked in my life, because I would not have been able to do this 4 or 5 years ago. I would never have been able to sit and talk to people, talk about Jesus especially. But I do actually need to be honest, because, that moment was the beginning of an ongoing journey for me. I was on such a high, I was on a buzz. I was really experiencing that Holy Spirit in that moment, and probably for the next 6 months, I was just buzzing, But it's not always an amazing feeling, this like spiritual feeling that's within you. It's not always like that. I have my lows and my doubts all the time. And, I don't always have that courage to take on anything that passes me. I don't. I have to be honest. But you know what? And I sometimes do still feel anxious. I do still feel like my friends are going to judge me. Oh, they're going to turn away from me. They're not going to be around any longer. But I now know, since that experience of the Holy Spirit, I can trust that when I need the courage, all I need to do is ask, and God will supply that courage for me. All I need to do is ask. When I feel like I'm being persecuted, and when I feel like I'm having doubts, when I feel like I shouldn't believe in what I believe, all I have to do is ask God for courage. And that same feeling that on that night that I experienced of the Holy Spirit occurs in me, and I feel that courage. Maybe it's not as much as I felt on that night, the power of the Holy Spirit, but I always, as long as I ask, God will give me that courage. Once you know and experience His love for you, you can never forget it. And as long as you regularly talk to Him and keep your relationship with Him, He will always be in your life. So what I want you guys to take from this is that Jesus, since I was baptized, has always been with me. And it wasn't until I opened my eyes when I realized Jesus' love for my life. And you know what? It's actually okay to have doubts. It's okay to have worries and go through hard times in your relationship with Jesus. But Jesus will give you the strength you need and always love you. Always. Unconditionally. No matter what you do or say, Jesus will always love you. And even human love fails. In some cases, it does, unfortunately. We see it in families and friendships. But, and it can be hard to show your love for Him. But with practice and knowledge, you can experience His love, and God will work every day in your life, giving you courage to take on what comes your way. Thank you.